Want to look leaner and be stronger? Then check out the Nuva Bar. It actually helps you work out. The Nuva Bar is the compact, lightweight way to regain freedom and balance. It targets your lower body, upper body, abs, and core without getting down on the floor. Best of all, the Nuva Bar is now on sale for just $99.99 plus free shipping and comes with interchangeable resistance bands with 7 full workouts. So if you want a trimmer waistline to look like you're 40 in your 60s, get the Nuva Bar and forget about crunches on the floor. Go to NuvaBar.com. That's NuvaBar.com.
And boom!
Common man, no show prep, no solid plan. Spins a yarn, begins a tale. The esoteric approach won't fail. Tune in, it's time for Common Man. Common man, charge the housewives like no one can. What'd you shoot? Where'd we play? Non-stop nonsense on deck today. Tune in, it's time for Common Man.
To the spotlight, young man.
Why should anybody aspire to be a common man, an average man? Do you realize what it means to be average? That means you're the best of the lousiest, and the lousiest of the best. Now, if we demand more and more for producing less and less, while the have-not nations encourage and inspire and indeed require hard work and maximum effort, if we deify the common men while they encourage and reward the uncommon ones, well, the end result of such a lopsided race as that is too obvious to require elaboration.
It's like, hello.
That's it. It's all the marbles. I'm sitting in the house, I'm loading up the pump, I'm loading up the Uzi, I got a couple of M16s, a couple 9s, I got a couple joints with some silencers on them. I'm just loading up clips, a couple grenades, got a missile launcher with a couple, missiles. I'm ready for war.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're seeing what a sophisticated offensive game plan looks like. You talk about,
I can't take this anymore.
1 year ago, we knocked on the door. This year, we beat on the door. Next year, we're going to kick the son of in.
Alan, what do you think of that?
how about a beer?
There's an old saying in Tennessee, I know it's in Texas, probably in Tennessee, but they fooled me once. Shame on you. It fooled me, you can't get fooled again.
Replacement, the kick. It is no good. It missed wide to the left. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Anderson's last field goal miss, the 15th of December, 1997, against Denver.
Get back, guys.
Here it is. The season's on the line. Two receivers left and right. McCown takes the snap. He steps up. He's all by himself. Fires into the end zone. Caught! Touchdown! No! The Cardinals have knocked the Vikings out of the playoffs. That's unfortunate.
He's the clown from Brown. He's the fourth in the North. This is the Common Man, Dan Cole.
Did Kwesi start his news conference yet, or can I go with the big long wind-up with my open?
Long wind-up.
Common Man program begins in 5, actually 3, but 5 sounds like more than 4, 2, 1. Greetings, good afternoon, and ack-ack-a-dack, and dack-dack-a-ack to you and yours. Ack-ack-a-dack, dack-dack-a-ack is what? It's your password for tomfoolery and skullduggery. It will also gain you admittance into a meeting of the Loyal Order of Water Buffalo. Ooh la la, ooh la la. I'm a radio dinosaur. This, KFAN, is my La Brea tar pit. Someday, archaeologists and paleontologists will be sifting through the rubble that will be 1600 Utica Avenue South, and they'll stumble across my skeletal remains and my cold, dead, rigor mortis-laden lips, and I still don't know the name of the microphone I'm using now. I'll just go with Neumann for now. The Neumann BCM 104, and they'll say, egad! It's an electro voice, 27, I think. And they'll say, egad, it's a social commentator with an archaic communication device. We're here until 3. We sort of pride ourselves, at least I do. I don't know if 10 to B does, but I pride myself on being uninformed, unprepared, and unrepentant about it. Don't make no never mind to me. I know people will say, you're a sports talk show, you're supposed to talk sports, you're supposed to know. And my response to those people, it's not anywhere in my contract. It doesn't say anywhere what I have to do. It just says, host a show. Here's Kwesi. Yes, Kwesi, the general manager of the
our players and coaches for all they put into it. They spend a lot of time away from their families, a lot of dedication, a lot of hours to put a great product on the field for our organization, our fans. And, that last locker room scene is a tough one where, you didn't end up where you wanted to go. A really special team to be a part of that. They had such belief in each other, had great relationships. So that was a tough scene, but I just want to start off by thanking them. Our football operations staff and personnel staff who, are the unsung heroes of this thing and, help us run as a great, efficient machine. And they spent a lot of time at this, and just want to make sure that I start by saying that. And our great fans showed up to support us in every stadium, different countries. They were a big part of why this season was so special. I made a lot of great memories. And then our great owners who continue to push us and give us the resources to excel and be run as a world-class organization. And we're always indebted to that. Though this season didn't end where we wanted it to, I did want to take a second to appreciate, what we were able to accomplish. 14 wins, a playoff berth, and, one of the best divisions in recent memory. I think we've laid the foundation for a really competitive, sustained team. A lot of smart, tough guys who love football. I think you can build and do a lot of great things with a group like that. Although it didn't, obviously it didn't go where you want it to go. And so you want to make sure at the same time you're appreciating what happened with really trying to study, the feeling we have right now, why we're not continuing on in the tournament. It's that the go-between the large sample of the success, but the small sample where it didn't go your way, and you want to make sure that you don't throw out the small sample, but you don't want to overweight it, you don't want to underweight it. It's it's the exercise we'll undertake as a team, and that always starts with ultimate accountability, and that'll start with KO and I. We'll claw and we'll figure out ways to get the rest of the way where we want to go. We know we haven't gotten there yet, but we're really excited at the path we're on. With that, take questions.
Kwesi, when we talked to you before the season, you talked about different expectations and potential outcomes. I guess, how do you view this as one of the best possible outcomes you could have seen, and what that means to kind of the bigger picture?
It's a great question, caller. It's, going into the season, I thought we would be a really competitive, playoff team. I did. I can't say that I sat here and said we were going to win 14 games. I'm not going to lie to anybody and say that. But we liked the players we brought in. We thought we had a good chance with our quarterback room to get really good play out of that. However, that shook out. We knew we had a connected group. We had players already here who were shown to be resilient and win one-score games, all those different things that we've established over the first 2 years. So I wasn't surprised that we were a playoff team. But sometimes when you're on the journey, your expectations sort of shift, and that can happen. You almost reset expectations based on how it's going. But I'm going to try, and I'm not there yet, but I will try to step back and just reflect on it in its totality and make sure that I appreciate for what it is. Did we outperform, underperform, expectations? And you have to do that by looking at a player level, what performances you got, different things like that, and looking at the metrics we do, and just collaborate with our great group and figure that out. But it's hard to answer that right now, just because you're still just so stung by not being in the tournament and playing football with a great group that you think deserve more.
Kwesi, does your success in free agency this year, building this year's team, does that influence how you approach free agency this year?
I think I always talk about it in terms of acquisition channels, and there's so many ways to do it, whether you approach it in free agency, poach, trade, draft, all those different things. We've had players that we've had here and we developed into bigger roles. it's always about identifying what you have in your building, and then knowing where you need to go as a championship team in terms of a talent roster standpoint, and going from there. Last year, I believe, was, we've got a great pro department. They prepared me kind of the year before for unique opportunities that could have come that year. So we had a dedicated strategy, knowing that we would kind of have some resources available to us for the first time, since I've been here, and then some unique opportunities to pursue that. And just because you have, resources, or you want to make sure it fits within your timeline, fits within the culture, the fit of what you're trying to build. And we're excited that it worked out the way it is. Now, I do challenge my group and say that, we're going to make a lot of bets here. They're not always going to go, all well. I think we had a really good outcome. We had a really thorough process, collaboration with our coaches, exact fit, the person, all of it. And I'm so grateful that that worked out the way it did. But we'll use that same process in the draft and free agency and CFA and all those things, with the ultimate goal of trying to assemble a championship caliber team.
Kwesi, I'm just wondering, there was obviously kind of the initial free agent class, and then the signings that were a little bit more in response to difficult things that happened. And I'm just kind of wondering, how you've been able to reflect on whether it was Shaq and Stephon Gilmore bringing them in, or even making the trade for Cam Robinson, and how those things were able to help the team and be fairly seamless.
Yeah, you go over all your decisions and really, think about why you did them to start. Talk about Cam Robinson. Obviously, somebody was able to come over in a trade and help us the first week he was there. And, there's not many Christian Darasols walking around this earth. We all know that. He's one of the best players in this league. And so we tried to get somebody to come in here and play good football for us and fit into what we were doing. And we were really excited with what Cam did for us. We knew from an asset standpoint of what it would cost, but also potentially what it could be on the back end and what that would net us as a team. And you're always asking those questions in terms of, okay, well then what needs am I going to have in the future? How is that going to change my planning? So I think that one in particular, we feel really great about what we did. Shaq, Steph, it wasn't all, and those were great ones because it wasn't just about the player, but it was also about who the young guys in that room get to learn from. Now Mekhi Blackman and then Dwight McLaughlin get to learn from. You're talking about consummate professionals in a scheme that requires a pretty high intellect, and teaching them football. It's so great when I get to be on the sideline and listen to those guys. And the classroom isn't just between coaches and players. It's players to players. And so we're really excited about that. And yeah, the season is this thing. It's this beautiful plan you have. You go in with expectations about what's supposed to happen. And then what did Mike Tyson say? The Mike Tyson thing, you get punched in the face and you got to react and you got to figure stuff out. It's one of my favorite challenges about this job, because when you're in that moment, you're deciding whether this move we're going to make is going to be a difference between a 7-win team, an 8-win team, a 9-win team, and you got to ask yourself that question in week 5. And that takes a lot of projection, a lot of different things, and a lot of that comes from my trust in this coaching staff and Kevin to, when we bring in players, get the most out of them and understand how we're going to fit together as a team. And, again, we will continue to make those moves because I think since we've been here, they've worked out a lot because of our process and our collaboration.
How will you look at your quarterback room, this offseason and heading into next year, and do you want Sam Darnold back?
I think the golden question I think I've gotten, so much through this year, as Sam was playing great, as JJ started out his career playing great and making moves for Daniel Jones, is, you're talking about the most important position in our sport. And I don't think it's a bad thing to assemble a lot of talented players in that room who fit your vision, fit how you want to play football, fit from a personal standpoint what you want to do. And so I think that was the mindset we came in with, and God, we got to see Sam play some incredible football for us. Won a lot of big games, at Seattle, at Lambeau. The production that he was able to do, we're talking about games where he won them for us. There was a lot of games where he was a win because of type player. And you also have to net that with, all of the in totality. So, we're going to approach this offseason, and I don't want to give you the stock answer, but it really is everything we do is about, okay, well, what's the team around him going to look like? What does this piece fit into our whole championship equation? And we'll do those exercises like we did last offseason and came up with the plan that we came up with. We'll have those conversations with Kevin, my staff, everybody in this building to come along board, because at the end end of the day, you're making decisions under uncertainty. But what happens is once you find a course of action, it's about how you implement your plan, how you show up every day and get the best version of whoever you decide to go with, the quarterback. How does that fit in to your long-term picture, the contract structure? All those different things will go into our plan, and I'm excited to have those conversations because I think we've got a lot of good options, and at the most important position in the sport, I think that's a great thing.
You mentioned McCarthy, though. I mean, from a physical standpoint alone, like, where is he at, and like, how can you kind of think about what he might do until he's at that point?
Yeah, he's on the field throwing and training. I try and go get a walk in before I talk to you guys, so I don't talk as quickly. That's what people tell me. I talk a little quick sometimes. So I was in there, and he was actually in there doing some, those cool quarterback thrusty things that Dak does, with weights. He was in there doing them. He looks great. He's excited. You talk about a kid who's just obsessed with football and loves being around the game. So we're excited about what we have in him. We're excited for this offseason for him. It's a big offseason. And then, we'll continue from there.
Did that change did Sam's play change the thinking here? Because, JJ was taken with the 10th pick, which is a very high pick.
Right.
Like, as Sam progressed and had success, did that internally change discussions with you and Kevin and the staff? Or are you pretty much still in the thought process of what you thought on that April night when you took J.J. Kwesi?
I mean, when you think about that decision, again, I talked about the most important position in the sport. You want to give yourselves options. I think the draft is uncertain. Free agency, all of this is uncertain. And we brought in two guys that we think we could play at a high level, quarterback in this position. And obviously, J.J. being a high draft pick is somebody that you're invested in for the future and all those different things. How that looks timeline-wise, we didn't necessarily decide, but we knew that we really liked the room that we had, and we were confident in that. I always ask Kevin before the season starts, hey, what, something that one of my old bosses used to do to me, what information would you need to kind of change your mind? And say it beforehand so that you're not kind of whipped around with what potentially could happen. And we've had those conversations beforehand. And look, we thought there was a chance Sam Darnold could play at a high level. Just seeing what he had done previous stops and what kind of Kevin's infrastructure and our infrastructure here has done for other quarterbacks that have played here, we thought there was a chance for a high level. Did I know it was going to be a Pro Bowl? I'm not going to sit here and tell you that. And I think I joked with Sam that I'm going to retire off the bet I made in Vegas. I'm kidding, not allowed to bet. I think that there was some part of us that all believed that Sam was going to have a really good season, and so that when we made the move, that was part of the calculus. And I think everybody looks at these things as binary, yes, no, left, right, and I don't think it is that. I think it's making sure you have a certain level of play at the quarterback position for as long as Kevin and I are here. And I think we've set ourselves up to do that, and we're excited about that opportunity.
Kwesi, if JJ is physically ready to start the spring, what's your comfort level with the possibility of him starting in 2025? Did he get enough preparation while recovering from that injury to make that possibility?
I think he was. Again, we don't know what was going to happen in this. Obviously in the finish of the training camp, but he got a great mental year. As a redshirt year, but mentally, the process that they had, in our exit meetings with him, just talking about how much he learned this year as compared to other years in his football life, exponential, which you would expect for a young player in this building. And so I think. We're really confident in him, his work ethic, and his preparation, but I can't sit here and tell you I know anything for certain. I know that I'm willing to believe in the person that we have. That position is about talent and preparation, and he's got those things in spades. And so if that's the course of action we decide, we'll go there confidently.
Did you learn enough about Daniel Jones to know if he could be a possible option here last year?
That was one of the good parts about that move, was just trying to see, just give ourselves options depending on what potentially could happen this offseason. And just being it's not the talent, because obviously you can watch film and see the talent, although it does help to see it up close at times, but really just how he is in meetings, the types of questions he asks, the dynamics in the room, different things like that. And that was a great opportunity for us and for Daniel also. It's two ways to see if this is the building he wants to be in, and I'll keep our conversations private in our exit interviews, but I think he's a potential option for us going forward. And again, most important position in the sport. We're excited to have potential options that we think he can come here and give us a certain required level of play that'll help us compete in games.
Time for two more questions. What Kevin said late Monday about needing to fix the interior of the offensive line?
I think having studied it, I would agree with what he said. What I would say is, though, I think a lot of times everybody hears that and thinks that it's the answer is kind of simple, and the answer can come from different ways. It come from a different player. It could come from a player year over year, improving. It could come from, how we do things from a pass protection standpoint. Those two games revealed some issues in there that were tougher to overcome. How do you overcome them? And that's what's beautiful about football. It's this complex sport. If you want to run the football, there's a lot of ways to do it. You could maybe get better at receiver and make them play you a certain way. And so we'll approach this offseason trying to fix the team with that creativity, that mindset in place. We'll collaborate with Kevin, but we want to be in a place where we're still playing football, and to win these last games, any potential places where teams can attack, you've got to be ready for, not just from your starting lineup, but from your two deep. And so we want to set ourselves up to be in that position and going from there.
How do you assess your draft outcomes here, and to what extent do you think things need to be done differently?
I think you study all these things. And the draft is one of those things. It's amazing that I get asked these questions, because one of my first jobs was just you're looking at hit rates and success rates in different rounds and different things like that. And what is a 7-round pick allocation net in terms of a solid starters or backups and all those different things. And it's the most interesting job in the world. I think not in the world, but it's just a really interesting thought experiment to me. You have to look at it in reference to, I want to say probability. We all know that the top quintile of the draft exponentially are better than the lower quintile of the first round draft, right? First round. What is your pick allocation? Talk about 2023, where part of my pick allocation went to TJ Hawkinson. And so it's looking at it in total, trying to see if there's anything that we could have missed, could have done better, perspectives, different things like that. That's an ongoing process. If I had the best draft my first year, I think I'd still be on that process to beat it. I think we'll always be in that place of ultimate accountability, ultimate looking inward for self-improvement. And so, I understand where that question comes from. What's hard sometimes is, you're building a championship team. You're trying to build a team in this time horizon. So if you draft a player this year, I know the world is such where everybody wants instant gratification today and tomorrow, and that's not how the good teams are built. They address wants before their wants. You try and find unique opportunities when they can, knowing where you think is going to be your time horizon, where you think you'll be picking in the next couple of years. Think about that exercise when you're trading future picks. Part of that's an expectation of how good you actually think you're going to be compared to what the market thinks. So that's an exercise we'll always continue with, always trying to get better. And I'm really confident with how our group has grown, evolved over these years. First time GM, I think there were things that I've grown at as a leader, an ability to kind of understand the information that I'm being given, when to press buttons, say this needs to be different, or when to kind of sit back and take other people's input. I think I've grown just kind of exponentially in that regards, and I'm excited about this draft. I'm excited about this offseason, this free agency period, this CFA period. It's our chance to keep climbing, keep continuing to establish what we are here, and then chase to that ultimate goal.
Kwesi, have you talked to the Wolves about your contract situation and when that might happen?
I try to keep most of my conversations with ownership private, but we did share time after the season, as we always do. They come in the building, and they expressed to me their appreciation for Kevin and I's leadership, and they're really supportive of us. I'll always, my third year, I always think back to the unbelievable opportunity that they gave me. I've always dreamt of being a general manager in an organization that's trying to do the thing they haven't done before. And I still have visions. I wake up in the morning and think of what that could be like. And so I'm always going to go back to that, the gratitude that I have for them, and that I want to be the general manager going forward. I don't really wake up thinking about stuff like that. So, my conversations with them, with anybody else, I think I was at a Minnesota football game earlier this year, and somebody said, good luck with the contract. And it kind of woke me up, because that's just not how I live my life. I don't think I'm entitled to anything. If I signed that contract tomorrow, I'd be running like I was scared, just trying to always earn it because somebody's chasing you, somebody's trying to be better than you. You gotta have that mindset. So I don't really spend a ton of time with that, thinking about that. I'm unbelievably grateful to be the general manager of the Vikings, and I want to continue to be so. I'm going to leave this office and keep being the general manager of the Minnesota Vikings and work hard to try and improve this team, and whatever comes in the future will come. But that's where I'm at right now.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.
And there you have it. That's Kwesi Presser, the current general manager of the soon-to-be big game world champion Minnesota Vikings. We'll take a break. We'll come back. We'll dive into what we'll have all the analysis of what he had to say, or at least some of it anyway. Then at about 12:45. Kevin O'Connell, head coach of the soon-to-be big game world champion Minnesota Vikings, is scheduled for his news conference. We'll carry that in its entirety as well. We'll break. We'll come back with a little distat lad here on the Fan. Tennessee, keyword to try to put a grand in somebody's hand, I think, right?
Yes, the Fan wants to give you a shot to put a grand in your hand with our national cash contest. Just enter the keyword green at KFAN.com now for a shot at winning. That keyword is green. Enter now at KFAN.com.
Want to look leaner and be stronger? Then check out the Nuva Bar. It actually helps you work out. The Nuva Bar is the compact, lightweight way to regain freedom and balance. It targets your lower body, upper body, abs, and core without getting down on the floor. Best of all, the Nuva Bar is now on sale for just $99.99 plus free shipping, and comes with interchangeable resistance bands with 7 full workouts. So if you want a trimmer waistline to look like you're 40 in your 60s, get the Nuva Bar and forget about crunches on the floor. Go to nuvabar.com. That's NUVABAR.com.
Grand in your hand is back on KFAN. We have 9 chances for you to win $1,000 every weekday. That's every hour from 9 a.m. until 5 p.m. To enter the keywords and learn more, head over to KFAN.com.
Come 13-14 past Common Man program. I'm Common. He's Tennessee. We probably won't do a 5-3-4 today. We'll just have to play it by ear. We have a very different schedule today. It's fluid. We just heard from Kwesi Presser, general manager or president of football operations, whatever the wacky title is. Soon to be joined, at least live from the TCO Performance Center, also known as the New Winter Park. The head coach of the club, Kevin O'Connell, will have his news conference. We expect it probably to start a couple minutes late. Probably will go well past 1 o'clock. We'll carry it for you, so we'll probably bounce 5-3-4. Mark Rosen will join us at 2. Deuce should be arriving about the same time as we have Spread Swing scheduled for 2:30. Time now for our Peek at the Purple. It's brought to you by our friends at Affordable. I said E again, didn't I? At Affordable Electric. That's Affordable Electric. Local, family-owned, highly qualified, and as I said, affordable. Remember, whether you need, they're your old home experts, so whether you need commercial or residential, the place to go is our friends at Affordable Electric. And remember, Affordable Electric is shockingly affordable. Kwesi did his best to tap dance and dodge the questions that to the average fan are most important. What are you going to do with Sam Darnold? What will you do with the interior of the offensive line? I think those are the biggest ones, right? They may have asked about. Did he ask anything about B-Flow? Did anybody ask?
It was
about,
basically all quarterback stuff.
Okay.
It was Darnold. It was JJ.
Yeah.
Even Daniel Jones got thrown in there.
And I get it. The general manager, it's unless they just got a personality that's just, I'm not afraid to say anything else. I'll just tell you how it is. He's not going to come out and say, yeah, we've decided we're going to part ways with Sam Darnold. We're going to go with J.J. McCarthy as our starting quarterback. We expect Daniel Jones to be the backup. We'll probably say goodbye to Nick Mullins, too. Next question. And I think that's what they planned. And they might not say bye to Nick Mullins, but I think they're letting Darnold go. And, and there were people in Tennessee, this was a debate we had. I don't know if it's a debate, a discussion we had as each game progressed. And Darnold, it wasn't just What are you doing? 5-3-4 or something in Mirage?
Trend or Mirage?
It really wasn't a mirage. It became a trend. We know he had a couple of games there. Those games against, what was it, Carolina and Tennessee, where he probably didn't play as well as fans or the team or Darnold himself would have liked to have played. He had that ever since that 3 interception game. He was pretty much, is brilliant too strong of a word? Maybe so, but he was very, very good from that moment on up until what happened in the Lions game and then in the Rams game. So, they asked him, and one of the questions they asked us, Kwesi, is with the way you selected McCarthy with the 10th pick overall back in April, but with the way Darnold played, did that change your thinking at all inside the organization? My guess is it did. But they're not going to say, well, yeah, they're not. I don't think they want to admit that. Well, yeah, we kind of thought that was who we wanted, but then after we saw what happened in the last 2 games, we're going back to what we really originally planned on doing, and that was signing J.J. McCarthy. And maybe they didn't change your mind. Maybe they were going with McCarthy the whole time. As you and I discussed, let's say Darnold had been really good against Detroit. Even if they lost, let's say they did lose, but they would have won against the Rams and he was really, really good again. I still don't think it's a slam dunk that you part ways with him. I don't think, but I believe now that's probably the direction they're going to go. Because as whoever asked the question, and I don't know who it was, one of the media members, I didn't recognize the voice, he said, that's a pretty high draft pick, number 10. I mean, and it's obviously your plan was to draft the franchise quarterback. You want to go back to that, and then he tiptoed around that. He hemmed and hawed, didn't commit one way or the other. Regarding the offensive line, same thing about the middle of the line. He came up with well, it could just be, coaching guys up or doing this or doing that, maybe changing the pass patterns. He didn't really know what to say there because, again, I don't think he's going to say, well, you saw it. The center we like Bradbury. He's okay. But we can't run the ball very well. Pass protection up the middle isn't very good. Our 2 guards did not play particularly well at all. So, yeah, we need to make changes up there. He did not want to commit to that. And part of that's, I guess, you don't want to publicly rip guys right away and, say, well, yeah, you saw it. Those guys were awful. We're parting ways with them, even though my guess is that's probably what they're going to do. So, yeah, it's he said he talks too fast. Well, those general managers are supposed to be fast talkers, is what they're supposed to be. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see what, and then they asked him about, have you talked about your contract extension? He said, well, I like to keep conversations between ownership and myself private, but yeah, we have met like we do every year. So I'm sure that was discussed there. It's interesting, Tenneby, that story that came out about, was it Glazer and Florio about that maybe there was some tension between KOC and ownership, and the reason for that tension allegedly is if there is indeed tension would be not giving them a contract extension after last season going into this year, where when they went into year 3, the Wolves said, well, wait, we're going to play this thing out a little bit. And, and I can understand if you're the guy that's waiting for the contract extension, you think you've done a great job, you might be a little miffed. What do you mean you're waiting? We've done a really good job. We went 13-4. There were a lot of things going against us last year. We lost Cousins. Wasn't that the year they lost Cousins in the middle of the year? Right?
That was last year, yes.
Yeah. So it's like, give me the benefit of the doubt here. I'm the quarterback whisperer. But somebody sent this.
No, they did get off to like a 1-4 start.
They did.
With Cousins as well.
They did. Somebody sent this to the Paul Allen Project, and I think it raises some interesting issues, Tenneby. Says yesterday, 9 to noon, speculated about the future of KOC in Minnesota, possible frustration regarding a KOC extension. The connection of KOC and Jets prospective GM candidate Darren Moogie later in the show, 9 to noon, reviewed his former roommate at college, Darren Moogie.
Ooh.
The plot thickens. The connection of KOC and Jets prospective GM Darren Moogie later in the show. 9 to noon review, the job Cam has done. Essentially, a lot left to be desired in the draft, but solid in free agency. However, it was later discussed that the majority of this season's free agent class was a product of Brian Flores' recommendations. My question is it possible that KOC's frustration, if there is any, aren't as much with ownership, lack of a contract extension, but rather a vexation with the GM front office? Perhaps a desire to work with his college roommate. Oh, my gosh. Does KOC feel his coaching is elevating the perceived pedestrian roster assembled by the aforementioned GM? This isn't the first time that topic or that idea has been raised. Whether there's anything to it or not, I have no idea. But I could see where it would, because I think when you look at it, we seem to believe that most of those recommendations on especially, obviously on the defensive side of the ball for free agents were B-Flow telling them, these guys fit my plan, get these guys. We know the draft hasn't gone well for Kwesi, and maybe there's something to it. I don't know. It remains to be seen. KOC, hopefully when we return, we'll start his news conference scheduled for 12:45. We'll break, we'll come back. But with that, next here on the Common Man program on The Fan.
Want to look leaner and be stronger? Then check out the Nuva Bar. It actually helps you work out. The Nuva Bar is the compact, lightweight way to regain freedom and balance. It targets your lower body, upper body, abs, and core without getting down on the floor. Best of all, the Nuva Bar is now on sale for just $99.99 plus free shipping and comes with interchangeable resistance bands with 7 full workouts. So if you want a trimmer waistline to look like you're 40 in your 60s, get the Nuva Bar and forget about crunches on the floor. Go to nuvabar.com. That's NUVABAR.com. Want
to chime in on what's happening with your favorite KFAN program? Make your voice heard on the Brad, Sean, Brian text line. Let us know what you have to say by texting your message to 64686. That's 64686. Standard message and data rates apply.
Kevin O'Connell, head coach of the Vikings, should be starting his news conference moments from now, or at least a few minutes from now. A couple of giveaways today. Another $100 gift card from 5 Iron Golf. They're in the North Loop. I've been there a couple of times now, hitting knockdown, punch, cut, fade draws. TrackMan technology for those simulators. It's sweet chef-inspired food, craft cocktails, great atmosphere. I think you'll love it downtown in the North Loop, where it's hip now with it and wow. Book your time today at 5irongolf.com, and we'll give away a $100 gift card a little later. Also, the Flop, Sweat, and Tears Tour continues this Friday. That's tomorrow. New Hope Cinema Grill in Tennessee. Let's just say ticket sales have gone from moribund to tepid, so they're picking up a little bit, but maybe the people are on to us finally. Here's KOC. Go ahead, KOC. What do you got?
Good afternoon, guys. It's this is one of my, I tell the players a lot, my second least favorite day of the whole year is the day after our final game, in a lot of ways, because as I go through the process of meeting with each player individually and each coach individually, that 1 year's team to the next is never going to be the same, and I was just so incredibly proud and grateful for all of our players and coaches, and the year we had did not end the way any of us envisioned. In fact, the finality of it all is probably the thing that stings the most, because every player and coach in those meetings expressed just how nobody expected it to be over when it was, and we as an organization obviously feel very strong about our foundation and what we've built here, but also know that we will continue to push on and push further and do more, and it starts with me, and I look forward to that challenge and all the things that lie ahead. But very proud of the group this year. Just so many different unique aspects and stories to the team this year and our organization, and kind of the path that it was leading to 14 wins, and ultimately only one team is gonna win their final game, and when you get into that single elimination tournament, and every team will walk away
realizing that we all need to do more and try to do the things that it takes and whatever it takes to get to that place where we can win that final game, because that is the ultimate goal. That's why I'm here. That's why I came here, to continue to push forward towards that. Definitely want to take a moment and just express the gratitude for all the people in this building, starting with our players, such a unique group. Special group. My coaching staff, I believe, was and is one of one in my opinion in this league. Great group of coaches that I get to work with every single day. Kwesi and his staff that put in all the tireless hours, trying to help put together the best possible team that we can put together. I think the staff that works with our team, both the resources downstairs with Tyler and Josh Hinkst and everybody that goes into making this such a special place for players that we want it to be, and that definitely expressed itself with our players' gratitude towards them and a lot of my exit meetings with them. Ownership, I think we have such a special group of owners that give us the resources and the things that we need to do it our way here and continue to grow and chase the ultimate goal. And we feel so fortunate to have the support with them, the relationships that we have with them as we all do this together. And then lastly, just our fans. I know I made mention of it many times this year. It was very important for us to get back to winning at home, which we were able to do this year at US Bank Stadium, and our fans were just every opportunity that we needed our fans to be there for us and provide that energy and environment at US Bank Stadium was truly remarkable. And it's absolutely one of the premier things about this job for me is the relationship with our fans that they have with our team and our players, and all of you great folks are heavily involved with connecting our fans with the special aspects of our organization, and I really want to thank you guys for that as well. So as we've laid a really great foundation, and as I envisioned from the first day getting a chance to be the head coach of this team, which I'm very thankful for the opportunity. I'm proud of the job we have done. We have not gotten to the place that we want to get to yet. We've done a lot of things to build that foundation, and now we must build upon that, that foundation to go continue to do the things that it takes to win a world championship in the ultra competitive league that we play in. And I look forward to doing that.
Is wearing women's underwear part of your turnout?
I don't know. I don't know that. I think our fans hopefully have the expectations that we're going to be very competitive and win every single year. I think the year that it was, from the fast start that we got off to, and the energy that built immediately by, beating some pretty good teams here at home and kind of establishing the early foundation of what our season was going to be, then having that, kind of 2 losses in those 5 days and respond by winning 9 in a row off that and respond to some of the adversity that hit this team this year. I would hope that all of us, in this building and all of our fans have the highest of standards for us and expectations for us, because that's when you're building something where people not only believe in what you're building, but they believe that getting to that place, getting to that final game is possible. And I know we all feel that in this building. We all know we have to go back to work and immediately started already the process of getting to that place. But I would hope that our fans continue to hold us to that standard because, like I said, that means they believe in us and they believe in what we're capable of, and it's on us to see that job through.
Kevin, you mentioned it Monday night, the 2 teams beat you twice this year. As you look at that, what does that communicate to you about things you guys need to improve to get to where you want to be?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of layers to that. I think it is a very much a matchup league. Week to week, some teams present different problems than others, how you match up both personnel-wise, schematically, all those things. We've got to take a long look at specifically, the last 2 games, and take a long look at, the things that transpired in those games that impacted our chances to win, impacted our chances of keeping those games where you're 1 or 2 plays away from winning it. We feel very good about, if we can get games to be competitive throughout and have a chance to win in the end. We've kind of proved that we can win those games and execute when it matters, but it's about every layer of our team and our organization and our way of doing things that we've got to, that's my job, to take a long look in conjunction with our coaching staff and Kwesi and his staff, that we peel through every single one of those layers and really figure out the why behind a lot of the positives that took place this year. But I think it's always the most important thing is to look inward first and start with me, and then look at the times where, really since training camp, you think about 3 preseason games and then 14 wins in the regular season, and then to lose to 2 teams twice. What did those teams do that we didn't to win those games, and how we can build a team accordingly to not only navigate through those problems and those challenges, but also to looking at the totality of the season. What are all the ways we can be better into the future? And that's what we do. That's what we do every single day. We're trying to press forward towards where we want to be.
Kevin, you mentioned sign a contract extension this year.
I do, and I've had great dialogue with our ownership, and this week in reflection as the season came to an end, and anything beyond that, I would prefer to kind of keep those discussions internal.
Is there a timeline of when you want to have it done?
Yeah, there's, in my mind, like I said, anything beyond, that my initial statement there, I'd like to keep internal.
I mean, that said, there's been a lot of reports that there's quote-unquote tension, or that there's something that needs to be done or figured out before that process would finalize. And are you able to say whether that's accurate or not?
What I would say is I love being the head coach of the Minnesota Vikings, and with that becomes the fact that I love our ownership. I have a great relationship with our ownership, and feel so fortunate. Like I said, not only just the way they support us and believe in us, but also the impact they have on our players, on our locker room, and ultimately where we all want to go together. Feel very, very great about that. And yeah.
Kevin, you mentioned Sam's body of work as you've had time to look at it and reflect. Like, how do you balance the season that he had with what happened in those last 2 games? Yeah,
I think, for me, like looking at Sam's body of work, I think Sam should be very proud about the season he put together. From start to finish, he answered the bell day in and day out with his preparation, and really, I think he learned a lot about what he can be in this league, and I think he proved to the whole league that he can play a winning level quarterback, winning 14 games really in the first year, like really nobody's ever been able to do before. In our league, and I think that's a testament to Sam and Josh and Grant, the guys working with him on a daily basis, and his teammates around him. So I think, when I think about the year that Sam had, I envisioned him having that kind of year when we identified him as a guy that we wanted to add to this organization last year, and everything that took place after that was all a systematic process to help him play the best football of his career, which I think he did, and I'm really proud of Sam for that.
Did Sam's play, Kevin, change the thinking internally for you and the staff? Because, in training camp, I think it was after JJ had the surgery, you stood up there and said, we have found our quarterback of the future, which is a pretty strong endorsement. As Sam played well, did that change the potential starter for 2025 in your mind, or do you still see JJ as being your guy?
Yeah, I think, like when I said that in training camp about JJ, I think it was to make sure that everybody knew my perspective on what we had added via a first-round draft pick to our organization, which was a guy we all believe in his future. We all believe he had already done some things to confirm a lot of the special aspects of what JJ McCarthy had been as a player, at a very successful level at the collegiate level, but then also in a very short amount of time what we had deemed to be, he was absolutely on the right track. And at the same time, throughout that whole time, I do remember saying that, Sam was having a great training camp and doing a lot of the things that we hoped he would do on his kind of individualized approach to being at his best and playing the best football of his career. So I think all of those things, when I look at the quarterback position, I think we had a very strong quarterback room this year. At one point in time, I remember walking in there and seeing, 5 quarterbacks sitting in that room, all with the ability, in my opinion, to win games, all with the ability to play the position at a pretty darn high level, all at different times and points of their journey as quarterbacks in this league. So I think it's just it's a remarkable thing to have all those guys in the room, and how we build forward and how we put things together as we move into the future will be based upon what gives us the best chance to win, what gives us the best chance to put the best version of the Minnesota Vikings football team on the field. And I think it's way too early to, in that process to really identify exactly what that looks like. But we're going to go through every layer of it, Judd, and we're going to clearly decide that path that best helps us move forward to win games.
How do you weigh those last 2 games for Sam, though? Like, they clearly were a struggle for the entire team. But, it was 16 pretty good games, a couple of clunkers. But then those, how do you weigh them correctly? Because it was certainly a deviation from what he had done for 16 games. Yeah,
I think it's important for us to take a large scale look at everything that went into those games, both how we prepared, how we handled the season up until that point, why were we not at our best in those games, and not just Sam but our whole football team, whether it's offense, defense, special teams, where were the points throughout those games that critically affected our chances to win. Because the one thing I've learned, not only here with our 2 opportunities, and really if you count that last Detroit game of the regular season as an opportunity, with something on the line, and then going back further than that, with my journey in LA that led to me being here before you guys, I think so many little things in a game lead up to, the final score and the outcome and the massive amounts of narratives that can come out of games like that, and I understand it. I get it. I totally do, because those are the types of games you want to play in. Those are the types of teams you want to build that play in those games. But I have learned over the years that it could be one play, 1 third down in the red zone, 1 third down in the field where there's a chance to make a play, or I could have given a better play call, or we could have had a better protection plan, or we could have maybe it's a defensive assignment or execution of a call, and all of those things lead to the ending outcome. But so much of it has to do with that one play when you look back on the totality of it. I think Sam did a lot of fantastic things. I think everybody around this league acknowledges the type of season Sam had. But as we kind of decompress and go through those games, which we'll do many, many times, probably too many times, to be honest, if I'm speaking totally of myself, the amount of times I've watched the tape of our last game already is probably not healthy. But at the same time, I think we've got to acknowledge the big picture, and then my job as the head coach is to figure out every layer of the why behind how it ended, while also acknowledging a lot of the good things that took place leading into that.
As you go back through that last game, was there anything that you could have done to help Sam with protection in terms of quicker developing passes?
Yeah, I think we actually had a lot of plays that had quicker elements to throw the football. The way we were defended in a lot of instances, with whether it was single high coverage, whether it was a double on Justin, whether it was split safety coverage, there was a lot of their game plan was designed to take away those early in the down quick throws, and that's where it required a layer of getting into the progressions and having real decisiveness with the things we did from 1 to 2 to 3, and required some things that our whole offense needed to be incredibly detailed, and that was our protection plan. That was knowing where to go with the football when the pocket did start to collapse. That was, being able to navigate the down based upon the situation, Ben, of where we're at. A third down in field goal range, making sure that we stayed in field goal range and didn't feel the need to try to win the game on every single play. And that's play calls from me. That's execution from our quarterback and the other 10 guys in that huddle. It's the detail and the ability to have the spacing and the intent of the play received as it expresses itself through the play. It's a lot of those things. It's the consistency at which we can play football and do some of the high-powered good things we've done while avoiding some of the negatives. And there was way too many negatives across the board to be able to overcome those things. When you consider the amount of yardage lost via some of those sacks versus if you take away those numbers where we're at as an offense on that day, and then just the plays on those weighty downs that we have to be able to either throw and catch better, we have to be able to protect better, we have to be able to have it all come together at a much higher rate in those moments in a game like that, which I always will look at my responsibility to drive that thing to get there.
There's a lot of off-season to unfold, but would you be comfortable with JJ as starter week 1 if that's just considering the injury coming off and everything like that?
Yeah, I'm very excited about where JJ's at. I mean, I wanted to give you guys an update on him and a few of our players here from a medical standpoint. But he's returned to on-field training. He's returned to being able to be right where we hoped he would be at this point, to have the type of off-season to be able to answer that question. I think he maximized what this year was for him. I think he's got a level of comfort in our offensive system and getting to really have a front row seat for every aspect of what Sam went through from being in the first year in our system and watching it kind of morph and grow and adapt as the season went on, why we do things. Hey, we're being defended like this. Here's the next, alliteration of as our offense kind of continues to take shape to try to do the things we feel like we need to do to win every single game. So I think him being able to absorb a lot of that and now have a really positive offseason from start to finish here will be able to give us, I think the answer to that question as well as, what that quarterback room looks like as a whole, the way I look at it. But very excited about the opportunity to be there with JJ as he continues to, move through this wonderful thing we call the quarterback world. So I'm very excited about that.
Last one.
What are your thoughts about the run game coming out of the season?
Yeah, I thought we improved. I thought we did some things to be a little bit more consistent. I still think there's always going to be room to grow in as we continue to build the 2025 version of Minnesota Vikings. Having total alignment between our personnel, the things we do well in the run game, where our strong points are in the run game, and then ultimately, tying schemes into that. I think Aaron Jones was a huge addition because I think he brought a level of execution and consistency to that position that really was impactful, and his ability to sustain over the course of the season and have a career year. 1,500 yards all-purpose and what that really meant to our team. And then I think Cam, getting Cam back and the way he infused, his skill set into it throughout the totality of the season. And we still have a lot of strong feelings towards Ty and what he's able to bring. But I think it's I think there was growth. I think there was improvement. I still think that there's a lot of runway to improve both how we put together our team, how we attack the offseason, and figuring out exactly what the group up front's going to look like, and ultimately how that all ties into how we want to play offense to make the quarterback's job easier, make it so that we can live in friendly down and distances as many times as possible, and maybe the biggest thing is avoiding some of those negatives that can set you back like they do.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you, guys.
And there you go. Those are the comments from the next New York Jets head football. The soon-to-be big game world champion Minnesota Vikings. That's Kevin O'Connell. Again, some probing questions tend to be. Asked about the quarterback situation. Did you think same question they asked Kwesi, the way things changed, the way Darnold played? You comfortable with him being the starting quarterback? JJ, comfortable with him being the starting quarterback from the get-go next week or next season? Asked about the tension. Notice he didn't say there was. He said no. He never really addressed the no tension. He just said he has a great relationship with the owners. If there was no tension, you'd say, there's no tension. I don't know where that came from. Right? Don't you think, or not? I mean, if somebody said, is there tension between you and me, Tenby, what would you say? Plenty of it, right? Yeah. There's tension. You would just come right out and say it, right?
You and I don't hide from things.
Well, I really do. No, I really like Common, and it's great. So, no, you would just,
Common and I have a great working relationship, and I want to be the bridge producer of the program in the future.
For the rest of your life. And again, even if if there is no tension, don't you just go, that's crazy. Why would there be tension? See what I'm saying? I mean, by not coming right out and saying there is no tension. Now, there might not be any tension. If you'll remember, I think there was, and again, these should just be those clickbait stories. I remember, I think it was during the offseason last year, the beginning of this year, sometime, that there was supposed to be the GM and the coach didn't necessarily see eye to eye on everything, which isn't necessarily mean they can't work together, don't have mutual admiration and respect for each other, because I'm sure over the years it happens in this building and ours. Or sometimes program director might feel one way, you and I might feel another. We got Greg Swedberg thinks one way, other people think another way. You work through things. But where it goes from here remains to be seen. Again, no commitment on Darnold. Do you think, I think I've asked you this before, but now that we've heard from both Kwesi and KOC regarding the quarterback situation, direct questions about Darnold, do you think they've made their decision and they're going and that Darnold will not be back? Because I can't see them giving him a $41 million a year contract, even on a franchise tag, right? I don't know why you would do that. If you don't think he's the guy that can lead you, if he's, you've decided, well, he's our guy. Well, we think we found our franchise quarterback. I don't think you'd keep him around for another year. You see what these rookie quarterbacks do. Caleb Williams learned quite a lot, not as successful as he wanted to be. Jaden Daniels has been brilliant, right? Bo Nix got his club to the playoffs. So that's why I've always thought it was really overrated to say, rookie quarterback's got to sit on the bench and he's got to just sit there and soak everything in. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but I don't necessarily think that there's a one-size-fits-all, especially when you invest as much as, if you think you've got your franchise quarterback and you want to get the most out of that rookie deal, I think starting him right away is incumbent on the club. If he would have kept that first game McCarthy played in preseason, I get it, there's not a lot of starters on either club playing. If he had continued to play like that, I think there was a really good chance he was going to start at quarterback last year. Or do you think there was no chance of that happening?
I think at some point, yeah.
Yeah.
Darnold obviously played very well.
No, but I mean, let's say there was no injury.
Just to start the season?
Yeah, to start the season.
I think it was a small chance, but I think it was a chance. They wanted to get him more of a look in the practices in Cleveland. They were going to let him go against the ones.
Yeah.
I don't think you do that unless you think there might be something there.
Yeah.
I think they're going to approach this offseason as we'd like JJ to be our guy, but we need to have a veteran presence to give us JJ insurance. They would like some JJ insurance. and that Darnold is probably going to be priced out of the insurance range. But you're not going to close the door because you never know what happens in free agency and all these other teams come up with a solution and all of a sudden Darnold's laying around and, we can bring him back on a 1-year deal or a 2-year deal that we can get out of after a year, and then they can either have a competition for a year. We can still sit JJ for another year, but we can still have him 2 years from now. I think that's possible, though it's just very unlikely he'll be in the... I think Daniel Jones is more likely to be in the JJ insurance range. I think they'll go JJ, and if Daniel doesn't get a look in the in free agency, that he'll be back.
And would you say, like a good neighbor, Danny Jones is there? Because I don't know if I think I might shop around for a different insurance company myself. But that's just me.
When it comes to veteran backups, you can't be too picky, and I think he'd be better than most.
Coming up at 1:20, we'll have the B-Flow News Conference. That'll be followed by Matt Daniels, special team coordinator. Inside linebacker coach Mike Saravo will join us at 2:05. Assistant linebacker coach Thad Bogardus will be at 2:20. And then to be the final news conference of the day from the Vikings. Equipment manager Mike Parson at 2:40.
What about the interior decorator?
Well, the interior decorator was on with us the other day, so I don't think we'll have him right away. So we got plenty more news conferences coming up for you. We'll break. We'll come back. Tenebee, grand in your hand.
Yeah, the fan wants to give you a shot to put a grand in your hand with our national cash contest. Just enter the keyword pay at KFAN.com now for a shot at winning. That keyword is pay. Enter now at KFAN.com.
Want to look leaner and be stronger? Then check out the Nuva Bar. It actually helps you work out. The Nuva Bar is the compact, lightweight way to regain freedom and balance. It targets your lower body, upper body, abs, and core without getting down on the floor. Best of all, the Nuva Bar is now on sale for just $99.99 plus free shipping and comes with interchangeable resistance bands with 7 full workouts. So if you want a trimmer waistline to look like you're 40 in your 60s, get the Nuva Bar and forget about crunches on the floor. Go to NuvaBar.com. That's NuvaBar.com.